Good evening. Yeah. Um. Okay. This maybe in the future, like from now, this will be like you go back to the very first video of the channel, and this is it. So minimal. This is probably just gonna be one take. I almost want to call this like a little test. So first of all, like when I switch the camera to the front camera, like if I were to show my drum kit, the part of my drum kit that I have here, then I'm talking, and I'm not that, but you can't see me on the screen. It almost acts as a voiceover, like almost like an accidental voiceover. Like that's you know something. Also, I keep it pretty dark in here. This is actually like about the lighting scheme that I have a lot of the time in here. Uh, in here being like there could be a lot of different videos about where I live. Also, I have three storages uh, that all three of them are pretty organized. Just anything from furniture, musical instruments, uh, decades old photographs, different things. And that could be videos going out, doing the storages individually. That's three videos right there. Just ideas. Also, like this right behind me, this aluminum ladder right here. Uh, that aluminum ladder was first bought by my dad in the mid 1970s. There was a thing with me and my dad every time we moved, like to a new town, to a new house. My dad and I would paint. Uh, I would. At first, it started. I was helping my dad. Then it began. I was doing some of the painting. To save money. Moving to a new house. Back then, the real estate wasn't like what it is now. A lot of times, we moved into a house like the walls weren't the color you wanted, and a lot of times, most of the time, Daddy painted the interior walls white, and we also painted some of the outside. But actually, this ladder has some of the paint kind of splatter, accidental paint splatter on it from uh, that long ago. So, and actually, it was a all aluminum ladder. So all made of all aluminum. That's one of. I have another item to go with this that I'll talk about later. But my dad bought this aluminum ladder when aluminum was kind of a new thing, or especially like consumers, like people like homeowners, just regular average people having access to something like a ladder made out of aluminum. It's really the particular ladder. I think it's like a 5-step if you include the top, which will let you paint. You know, it's big enough. It was big enough for me and my dad to do the painting we did on it. But like you can easily pick it up with one hand, if not one finger. It's really lightweight, and my dad kind of tried to stay up with the changing of the times. My dad's still like that. You know. Also, as far as this new test, this actual first test, um, I have this air conditioning unit that you know, some people turn their AC all the way off to record because it makes a noise. Some people don't like. I don't know if I'll do that or not. During the wintertime, it has a built-in ceramic heater, and the fan doesn't stay on when the heater's not blowing. For some reason, they didn't make the functionality of that. Um, Also, different lighting. We'll explore different lighting schemes. I have this thing that a lot of people use when they're recording their face. The camera sits on it. Camera being phone in my instance. It's you have to get it out and plug it in. I don't know. It's just one of the things. You know, that little circle lighting USB thing. Um, So this is like me sitting in my chair. So like also, as you can see, uh, I have more than one tripod. Just one of them's older than the other one. Also, like, again, I'm not going to really go into a lot of detail about my surroundings, where I live right now. Just kind of almost like, it's almost kind of like, not spoiler alert, but kind of almost like a teaser reel. Like the way I'm panning around and showing, like, what is that? Oh, wait, run that back and pause it. What has he got? What is that? You know, well, that's one of the things right there is that's a big, nice kind of, nicer, bigger tripod. I probably own throughout the years, you know, I probably own 4, 5, 6 tripods, for varying cameras that far predates any digital cameras. I've been dealing with the little consumer, just $20 tripods for a long time. Well, this one's probably the nicest one. That was actually bought to do the Facebook live stream for my sister's wedding in 2022. So that's one of the newer items, really, in this entire house. So, also, my face. I guess I'll show. So I like wearing sunglasses because I kind of have crazy eyes. One time I was like, why are rock stars always gonna wear? Are they always high? People, always wear sunglasses. I mean, they're like high. And then I saw Bono from U2, like on some talk show, and he had on glasses they weren't really dark sunglasses. They were really, really light, almost like purple tinted glasses, and like you could see through the glasses that he had kind of like a crazy eye thing going on. And I think I have that too. And that could be like a video, like I can show my eyes, like, what do they look like to you? Well, when I look in the mirror, I was like, my eyes look just like anybody else. But maybe people don't see me like that, and so then it's like, do they see me one eye pointing in one direction, one in the other? Some of the time, maybe, right? But I don't see it like that. I just, there's a parrot, and the parrot's got their eyes are way on the other side of the face from each other, like, but there's a parrot see. What does a parrot see? Well, it sees almost like an Insta camera, with the fisheye on either side. What the parrot sees is probably seamless. Like, so people look at my eyes like, damn, how does one eye's looking there and one eye's looking there? Like, what does he see? Well, I see the same thing anybody else sees. I just see my surroundings. So kind of like almost like teaser trailer on that. So then another thing. Right now, as far as production, as far as camera work, right? We're talking about handhelds right now. Well, first of all, the only camera I'm going to tell you for a while, if I start making videos anytime soon, it's going to be shot 100% with my phone, which that's, a lot of people do that. So this camera obviously is going to be shot with my phone, kind of, testing it out, testing the waters, but it's really water involved in it. You know what I'm saying. Hey, so go back to voiceover because I'm, front camera. So far in this video, there's an interesting story about these spools. In the 1970s, my mom's sister got married in 1975. I was at the wedding as a young boy, and she married a urologist. At the time she married him, I think they waited until he got out of medical school to get married. So he was like an intern when they got married down in New Orleans. They had a house in Kenner, and my mom and my sister shared throughout the years. They shared a lot of stuff, like different styles, and they were sisters. They were sisters that grew up in the 1950s together, and they were young people in the 1960s, and then a little bit older, and starts getting, children getting all that. So, I remember the visit we went with my mom's sister's house and her husband's house in Kenner. They didn't have any children, I don't think, or maybe they had one. And my mom noticed there was this like interesting like a little table in between like the couch and chairs, and they had a really nice ranch style. He had graduated from, he was a doctor, right? He was an intern, but still he was making like intern doctor money and like the late 1970s. They had a nice ranch style house, so I'm sure they had a mortgage for, etc. Really nice. I remember it was cozy, but it also felt really kind of like professional. Like you could tell it wasn't a big house. I mean, it wasn't a small house. It was a ranch style. It had a really comfortable living room that they kept lighted. Kind of dimly lit at night. Watch TV, sit around with the family, talk. My family nobody in my family was really big into drinking. So I was just kind of sitting around with iced tea, Coca-Cola, talking, and like my mom's like, oh, what is this, deal? What's the story behind this table? And apparently it was a trend kind of that my mom got from my sister from this visit. These are some type of industry, like either phone company or probably phone company, not electrical, spools that the wire comes on that they install. And it was wood. Some of them, I think, still made out of wood, maybe not. The bigger ones, they're all kind of different sizes. And, the thing is finding some spools that are for sale, antique store, etc. And then you wind, like just hemp rope around the middle, kind of almost to give the effect of, something spooled around it instead of just kind of the wood lattice work. It's the interior that hemp is covered up. It's kind of less sightly. The hemp gave it kind of a decorating touch. So after that visit, my mom, was driving somewhere and saw like an antiques put out in the yard, antiques for sale, and she saw these spools, and I was on my mind like slammed on brakes, and probably not. She probably went some, turned around, came back, bought these spools, and then tasked my dad, put on my dad's honeydew list, right? Honey, will you like buy some hemp rope and attach, So there's that. Also, my mom really postulated for, to me, that only the hemp rope, the artificial, the decorative hemp rope was only done to one of the spools. And after I've had these spools in my possession for quite a while. When I was married to my daughter's mother, we had the spools in our house in 1999. So I've had these spools in my possession for at least 26 years. Right, it's not really that long a time as far as possessions in my family. Again, more foreshadowing. But as you can see, both of the spools indeed have the hemp, which people, memories. What sometimes people's memories are not 100% accurate. Okay, so this has all been me sitting in my chair position. The next thing that this video's almost 15 minutes. Again, testing it out. So let's do something. Let's get up and walk. First of all, I'm not going to turn on the lights much in here. I'm just kind of keep, So I could get up with the camera on me, and we can walk out of the room. So that means your perspective is walking backwards out of the main room. Turn the light on here, and get into the kind of the foyer, the front door. Just to the bottom of the front door. There's kind of a little cloth under the door. It's for a draft in the wintertime. It's the end part of January 2025 right now. So also have a female visitor here in the year 2020 gifted me this little plaque to put on the wall. Also, we have various keys here. The coat rack that the coat rack used to be in my mom's house. She gave it to me when I first moved in here. And, gratuitous corporate non-paid endorsement there. So this goes, there's a whole issue with the floor in my house. The white look is baking soda. My mom was a big baking soda person. There's a lot. Her mother and grandmother were. The baking soda had a whole lot of uses that have kind of been quote unquote forgotten. But the main thing is on the floor. It almost acts as kind of an antiseptic. Basically, I've tracked the floor in over the last 15 years living here, so that there's a kind of a layer of, I don't know how to say this other than say clean dirt, right? It to me, as far as walking in somebody's house and seeing the floor, it's the first thing I have to explain if I ever. That was Freudian, but it was true. If I ever have a visitor, which in the last 15 years, sometimes several years, several months at least, if not a year, longer than a year, go by without any person per se coming into this house other than me and my dogs. There's been a lot of years that it's an entire year I won't have a single visitor or even a single knock on the door. I live in a guest house, and during the daytime we'll make a video, kind of walk around outside and show you, like, I rent my sister's guest house. It's in her backyard. It's a complete separate, domicile structure from, it doesn't connect, walls, don't share walls, and it's a standalone guest house in her backyard, so there's a lot of privacy. It's kind of nice, really nice. Also, yeah, you see the gas can? He's got a gas can in the house with him? Yeah. I got more than one gas can. Because nowadays, gas cans, part of them being a gas can is they're required to be airtight. So that when it has gas in it, either full, empty, whatever, and the mechanism that releases it, that opens up to let the gas out when that's closed, like it's supposed to be, when you're not pressing it down into something, it's airtight. So it doesn't smell like gas in here at all. And maybe it might not be the safest thing, but also I don't really have many outside to store gasoline canisters, so I don't really want to line up gasoline canisters outside my house, like under the eaves on the side of the house, so that somebody could, it seems like that's more of a security risk. Somebody, happening into the yard and checking the gas. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So now we walked from the main area, and this is a lot of this just to test out the different angling of using the front end, toggling in between the front and the rear camera of my phone. Okay, so this is the kitchen. Like, this is the area that a lot of magic alchemy happens right here. One of the things is I've been rolling my own cigarettes since November of 2016, and I use AI on my phone recently to do like a rough ballpark figure of how much money I've saved rolling my own cigarettes using this cigarette roll machine, and basically I've saved myself $45,000 in the last 9 years rolling my own cigarettes instead of just buying, pre-rolled packs like Marlboro or whatever else. So I stand here. This is kind of, I call it driver's seat. It's like, this is kind of the driver's seat of the kitchen. Right here, standing right here. It's kind of the driver's seat of the kitchen. So you can see that this is the area where, and I keep it kind of messy, I keep it messy, this area specifically on purpose, because it doesn't take very long for this to get back in this exact shape, because you have like overflow of tobacco in this, it is what it is. This machine and doing this, rolling my own cigarettes, has saved me a whole lot of money in the last 9 years. I don't have a microwave in my house. I can tell you why later. But I have an electric tea kettle. So here's another gratuitous non-paid endorsement. My regular eyeglasses, ugly. I always want a pair. Another thing is I have I use dry erase. See, when I first started using this, I was only using one for a very short time. I realized, I need two. So I need a now, which is stuff that's like, to do as not necessarily as soon as possible, but just, like soon, right now. And then I have later, So, the kitchen. I had one of my most recent guests at the kitchen. We walked in and I said, well, this is the kitchen. She said, yes, the kitchen. Like, I don't really know what you meant by that, but it's like, wow, Ozzy Osbourne's like Ferrari. Oh, that was kind of her reaction. I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, put stuff up. I post stuff. You know, like I've got all kinds of stuff arranged. It's almost like, what do they call it? I looked up this word recently. What was it? Uh, Not like a book depository, but not that. It's something else. Mm, Not not an aquarium, but not an atrium, but it's like I said. Word used to be like described for places you go in, and there's just all kind of items like menagerie. I don't know, something. One of those old words that people kind of act like they forgot, but it's interesting. Like this, for example, like rack systems. Kind of need it just makes storage out of what was just thin air. All right, so on the bottom we have waters, and the middle section something else, and then we have like a kind of almost an ad hoc food pantry. Here we have two other gratuitous and non-paid endorsements. And this is like the farm. We get to the pharmacy section with, of course, yes, coffee being part of the pharmacy, right? Obviously. Also, we have like the Stairway to Heaven, which is brought to you by Hershey's, another non-paid endorsement. There's a check I have framed that my dad wrote for cash in 1964. My dad wrote a check for $5 for cash. Oh, I'm almost out of cash. Let me use an entire check and actually go to a business and have them give me five $1 bills in cash. And now that's in my pocket. Wow, okay. All right. I've got enough operating money to last me a while now. I cashed a check for $5. I say all that kind of, like that. I said all that. I mean, it's perspective, right? If in 1964, $5 was like, wow, I got money in my pocket now, it gives you perspective, financial perspective. This was one of my tools. I recently, over the last 5 years, I lost 90 pounds. And this was something that was part of it, almost like a vision board part of it. This was something that popped up online. It's like a sculpture of a guy sculpting himself out of a big fat man's body. And, that kind of, I think, that helped me with losing the weight. It's a visualization, right? It'll come up that I have a cannabis card. Like I have a medical quote unquote marijuana, medical cannabis is legal in Mississippi, and I got a card recently renewed for the second year. I mean, it helps me. It's just I'm not some head trying to get high, wearing tie-dye all the time, walking around in Birkenstocks, stinking like patchouli. And I'm also not like on some type of a soapbox preaching, oh, everybody needs weed, oh, it's so much, oh, weed is God in the form of a plant. I'm not one of those guys either. Also, when I go to places like this gratuitous non-paid endorsement right here, when I go to places like that, they always want to hit you with this, and it has a fruity taste, and this is birthday cake. It reminds you of the flavor of, and this is like this is sliced carrot and onion salad weed. Like also, some people say this reminds them of the smell of gasoline, so it's called premium. Like I don't. It's cannabis, man. It's a plant. It's like I don't take it to get high. I don't take it because I feel like it makes me cool. I don't, I don't take it. Also, I don't take it because it makes me my digestive system more vigorous. It's like for your head, man. It's like screw your head on right. It makes me feel better, right? If I don't do it, I mean, I feel a certain way, and then I do it and I feel better. There's merit to that. You know what I mean? And it's also a plant that God made. It's not mixed up with ether or diesel fuel and like laid out and like it's like you grow it. It's like then you hang it up and let it dry, and then you package it up and sell it. It's a plant God made. It's almost an abomination that we sell it, but somehow you just call it, well, that's reimbursement for the farmers, and that's what they are, cannabis farmer. it's kind of almost reimbursement for the farmer's time and effort, and so that he can. It's his job, right? So it's like, you know. Anyway, so I like that. I like that aspect of it. It brings money to the state. Um, it's to me, it's shows that over time that my home state is loosened up kind of its tyrannical grip of thought about the particular plant. So anyway, I didn't mean to go and launch into 5 minutes of cannabis. It just helps me, right? It's like it's no pretense or like it's not, it just helps me. Just like this right here helps me, right? This is like generic Prilosec. I have a prescription for, and what it does is it causes me to have way less stomach acid, so I'm not walking around like my dad did for decades, everywhere and carrying this around. This is something that my dad chased this dragon right here for many, many years. He had one in the car, he had one in the bedroom, he had, and actually I kind of, after I've been taking Prilosec for a number of years, I turned my dad onto it, and now he takes it. Now he doesn't have to chase the pink around, So anyway, so this is kind of almost like and you see that we have this item set up high. Obviously another gratuitous non-paid endorsement. Joe Rogan owns half this company, Alpha Brain. I recommend it for those things that are right there listed clearly on help support focus, help support memory, help support reaction time. And that's really useful driving a motorcycle. You kind of want to have a really quick reaction time because, motorcycling, that can be another video too. Also, I keep 2 cameras and I marked them in an identical fashion. And I probably won't reveal what all the marks mean. You just see the calendars in passing. You can see clearly right now that it's December 2025. And yes, wolves. One of the colleges I attended, their mascot was a wolf, and also I just like them. There's also something in my book, my memoir book about I had a dream about a wolf, and my papa had to console me about. And obviously the big some people seem to can't see me anything other than the big bad wolf. So when I started going, I started realizing okay, well then obviously the big bad wolf should have a big bad wolf calendar that he marks, right? So it's just kind of like it's a joke. At the same time, I like wolves, and it's like why fight it, right? And then also this right here. There's a story behind this. I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but it was something I saw. I want to picture myself like a theater, a movie theater here in town was my first job. And I'm still friends with the guy who was my manager then and who was a projectionist then. Both of them have retired. The manager retired. The projectionist became the manager. He's retired from that, right? So, but this was shot in the number 2 auditorium here in town in the movie theater. This photo was taken in the summer of the year 2000. I told them, I said, I want a picture like me sitting down front, smoking a cigarette, like dressed, with a tie, like smoking a cigarette, and there being cigarette smoke, like the image coming from the projection room. I want that to light up cigarette smoke, and I told them about it, and they were always keen on, let's, photograph it, a little project. Let's do it, So, I went up there. I dressed nice. We went up there. It was. I think it was like before the theater opened. Maybe 30 minutes before, the theater was open with that particular business day. And matinee, so both of them were with me. The projectionist went up and he just turned on the lamp in the projector, so that I'm not actually watching something, but in turning on the lamp, all of the lighting of my face was because the screen right in front of me was completely white. So that acted as a big, nice, natural, like soft lighting that also lit up the cigarette smoke. Now, at the time, and even now, like it had already become non-smoking, right? So the fact that I knew them, you knew, and so I was allowed to smoke one cigarette, and I started smoking it down standing, you know, standing at the doors, right? And I just kind of blew it up into where I knew, I wanted it to be in the picture. I kind of just they turned off the air conditioning in there completely, so it was completely stagnant air, and I just walked down to where I eventually sat down smoking the same cigarette, just kind of blew the smoke up into where I wanted it to be in the photograph. And then I sat down, and then my friend, the manager, took the photo. And at the time it wasn't digital, it was a celluloid camera, like 35 millimeter, right? And I think we only took that one shot. I don't think he took like 4 or 5 different shots. Like, maybe he took another shot with different lighting setting, but I don't think so. I think this was just one shot. And that was something that was found when my house was cleaned out recently as part of a division of estates that's going on currently. And so, that's that history behind that picture. Video's been going 31 minutes. Okay, so let's show it to bathroom we have here, and so the kitchen obviously behind me. Just pan around. I have a shower insert and stuff on the walls, and have the Architectural Digest, which I have my 4 vehicle titles, and just this is where one of the dogs eat. I kind of separate the dogs when they eat their canned wet food, so they won't kind of try to get each other's. And then that's pretty much the bathroom. And I'm gonna come back in there and sit back down. So we can kind of wrap up this video. What you think, man? Some of my little dogs running around. 2 dogs, y'all dog want to introduce y'all. Come here, where'd they go? They went over their little area. Hey, where'd y'all go? Turn the light on. Can I interview y'all for a second? Look, this is a dog area. I don't mess with this area a lot because they're dogs, right? They don't pee or poop in it because it's their own area. But, they got their food bowls and water bowls and lounge, little beds and stuff. It's pretty neat. So, the one that's black and white is Shadow. He's 13 years old. He was born right here in this house. And that's Max. Max is actually bloodline. Shadow is the uncle and Max is the nephew. Not Max, Zach. I don't know. He had a brother named Max. That's no one was. Zach. Zach is the nephew and Shadow is the uncle. So it's Uncle Shadow and Zach. Right? Alright. Y'all. So that's Shadow and Zach. Currently, that's my 2 animals that I'm caregiver of in my house. Before we go, in the context of behind the scenes, here's kind of like I'm standing up in front of it view of like where I sit a lot. I'm charging my Chromebook right now. And, I have a stand over here that's where the Chromebook normally goes, is on that stand. And I'll show you one more thing. Actually, my lighting. One of the big things, my lighting has been this little thing. Came from Walmart. And it's just 3 zones that you just plug into the wall and then you plug the lamps or whatever into it. So this is zone 1 back here. This actually is something that fell off the pole. They don't even use that kind anymore. That's like an homage. My dad worked for the power company for a long time. See? It's one of those, but it's just got a regular bulb on the inside of it. So that that's on and off, right? Then over here by the bed, we have another one that's zone 3, right? And then I call this the dogs, and the dogs have one but that's on too. Right. So sometimes I turn all three of them on, and it makes kind of like an ambiance in here, kind of like dimly lit, you know. And sometimes I sit with only one of them on. It's usually the one behind me, you know. The one if I sit with only one of them on. So this is like I'm kind of like the driver's seat of my life right now, and then it won't, you know, to an extent. But when I sit back down, TV's in front of me. Also, you see the little light right there? I have a little 200 watt per channel tuner that I got off Amazon. That's powering these KLH speakers. That's the right speaker. The left speaker's over there behind that upside down table. So I have premium sound. It's the way the TV is run with an AUX cable to the tuner. So I have premium sound. I listen to Spotify on the TV or whatever music service. I can also listen to music files on my phone, Bluetooth to the tuner unit. And it's pretty much, you know, this is a good test on how long we've been doing this. 36 minutes. Sound good to me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You know, I don't know what this channel could be. It could be just stuff like I just did, kind of just showing you my life. Also, I'm not really into like sharing like opinions about stuff, because that's stuff that people get upset about. So I don't know if I'll be 100% won't be political, you know, and probably not even a whole lot of opinions. You know, we might interview some people. I kind of have thoughts about interviewing my dad, you know, and maybe some other people, and maybe make it almost like a podcast in a way. I don't know. I just know that this is where I'm at with it right now. I just kind of want to test out different camera angles, switching back and forth from the front camera with this phone. And so, this is the first video probably on this entire channel. So if you like what you see and want to see more of it, like and subscribe. Probably, like and subscribe. The notification thing, I don't do that. I don't care if somebody uploads a video. So I mean, if you want to do that, that's you, not me. But there's three things. There's like, subscribe, and notification. Probably the most important to me, being new to this, is the subscribe. Like, I'd rather you subscribe. Like, if you don't even like it, but subscribe it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.